Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Automotive JT. Hey, if you're new here and you haven't, click that subscribe button down there, and don't forget that thumbs up thing so that you get notified when new videos come out. So I'm out here cruising around in the Jeep Gladiator today. For anybody new, this is a 2021 Jeep Gladiator Mojave in Snazberry Red. That'll be important in a minute. Love this thing. It is awesome. But as the planet apparently continues to get warmer, no, this isn't some kind of environmental video. It's just a fact, it seems. I'm riding around, it's 97 degrees. I feel like temperature, whatever that means, of I think 330, something like that. It's mighty hot. You can fry an egg just by cracking it in the air, I guess. But anyway, what should we be doing for our Jeep Gladiators to protect them from this extreme heat? Particularly if you live in the South, in an area like I do, in extreme South Texas, in a subtropical climate. I mean, it gets hot here. The sun is intense. So I've been thinking about that. There's a few things. One that I haven't done, actually many I haven't done, that I should be doing. Number one, I should have one of those windshield shields or whatever, you know, those shade things that you put in your windshield. Because my Jeep Gladiator sits outside most of the time. Matter of fact, all the time. So everything inside the truck is being exposed to UV rays, sunshine. My biggest concern with that is my steering wheel cracking and stuff like that. I mean, it is leather. It will dry out, and if that happens, it's going to crack and stuff, right? Also, the dash itself. It's just that plastic stuff, and you know, after a while, if you're lucky, it'll just warp a little bit. If you're not, it'll start to dry out and flake and crack. You've probably seen dashes like that. It's because they're exposed to so much sunshine. So I think putting a shield across there of some kind would be a good idea. I need to do that. The other thing is treatment of the steering wheel. You know, there are pastes and things out there that you can get to keep your leather nice and supple, nice and soft. It needs to be conditioned. I think, again, particularly if it's being exposed to a lot of sun, or really even a lot of heat. And speaking of heat, I mentioned mine is the Jeep Gladiator, Snazberry in color. Let's call it dark red. Dark is the key word there. Because it is so dark, it absorbs more sun. Even has a black roof, right? So it absorbs all that sunshine. One of the best things you can do if you're in the market, maybe you're looking to buy something new, is to get something that doesn't absorb so much sun. Ideally white, or maybe silver, or a light tan. Something that's not black, even though I think black is the absolute best color for any vehicle out there, except for all the little micro scratches and stuff that it shows. Still, it's the best color out there. Dark blue, dark tan, things like that. Red or Mojave like I have. Even a dark green, you know. Get something that's not going to get as hot, let me tell you. Although there is a flip side to that. If you live in a winter climate and you have a vehicle that absorbs all those sun rays, when you go out after work, you'll find that the interior of your Gladiator is a bit warmer, and that feels pretty good. Next up, what about all those plastic bits on the outside? You know, unless you got a painted version, you have plastic fenders, right? Those great big fenders all the way around the Jeep Gladiator. What do you do with those? Well, I would think the best thing to be, other than parking in a garage, but the best thing to do, rather, would be to treat them with something, some sort of UV filtering wax, paste, spray, treatment, something that's going to protect them from the sun. Because of course, they're black, they heat up, and eventually they're going to gray out, and you might even have degradation of the material itself if you live in a really sunny climate or get really hot, sunny summers. What about the paint? You know, the same thing happens there, and I think that's a big problem with the Toyota Tacoma's white paint, other than it doesn't have a clear coat. But it degrades, it flakes and chips. It's well known, all kinds of problems with the Toyota white. with the Jeep Gladiator, I think treating it again with some sort of a wax or spray, maybe even a ceramic coating, I'm not sure, that has some sort of built-in UV protection, something to filter out the sun's rays, the harmful rays, and stop it from getting so much. They have to have something out there. I must admit, I'm not overly familiar with it because I didn't really even consider it until today. But there's got to be some wax and things out there that have UV protection built into them. I can't imagine that there aren't. What about your tires? Let's talk about tires. I've been hearing a bit about exploding tires recently. You gotta watch how much pressure you put in your tires, because when it's as hot as it is outside and you go out and drive around, they're going to increase in pressure, right? And I've heard of this happening. People that run their tires pretty high, and I'm thinking it's probably like somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 pounds high. I mean, everything's an extreme, right? But when you do that, and it's this hot outside, and then you start running the tires, flexing them, heating that rubber up, increasing the pressure, you can have a problem. Best case is you just break the bead. You don't destroy the tire. Worst case, of course, is a major blowout. Then you're going to have problems. You know, I run mine, someone asked the other day, I run mine at 35, 36 PSI. I know people that run them as low as 30, 32, and I know people that run them as high as 42. Now, if I was running 42, that would concern me a little bit, because when you're out driving around, I got to think you're starting to push 50 PSI, probably more in the 47 to 48 range, but it depends on how you're driving and how hot it is outside. So I would take a look at that too. You know, for me, 35, 36 PSI, these are a 285, I believe, tire, is not too bad. Gives you a decent ride. It's not so firm that I feel every little indentation in the road, every little pebble, but it's not so soft that I feel like I'm bouncing around all over the place. Definitely would take a quick look at that. Other things, common sense things, your radiator fluid, antifreeze, you want to make sure that that's right. You know, things like that. You're running the right oil for the season you're in. You don't want to run anything that's so thin that it's going to break down or not be efficient because it is so hot outside. Windshield wiper fluid, doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you keep some in there so that when you get off of the trails, because we know everybody's out off-roading all the time in a Gladiator, right? So that when you get off the trails, you can hit that knob and clean your windshield off. Just a common sense thing. Anyway, just a few things to consider, things that you can do to maybe protect or preserve the Jeep Gladiator a little bit, particularly since everything seems to be hot everywhere right now. Leave a comment, let me know. You do any of those things? Do you ever think about it? Or every Jeep Gladiator for themselves, the strongest will survive? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there and cool. Bye.